Episode 5: Why two doctors can generate the same RVUs but earn different incomes. Welcome to Medicine, Dollars, and Decisions, Life and Business in Medicine. I'm Dr. Bruno Casanova. Today, we'll discuss why two providers can generate the same RVUs, perform similar work, and still earn very different incomes. In the previous episodes, we discussed how RVUs are created and how they influence physician compensation. But now we arrive at an important question. How much money is an RVU actually worth? And if RVUs are standardized across the country, why can two physicians performing the exact same service earn very different amounts of money? To answer that question, we first need to understand something that surprises many physicians. Not all RVUs are created equal. In fact, there are three different types of RVUs. The first type is the work RVU. This represents the physician's work. It reflects factors such as the time, skill, training, effort, and clinical judgment required to provide a service. The second type is the practice expense RVU. This reflects the operational costs required to deliver care. Things such as office rent, medical equipment, instruments, supplies, electricity, staff salaries, and other overhead expenses. In other words, this portion helps pay for the facility where healthcare is delivered. The third type is the malpractice RVU. As the name suggests, this portion reflects the cost of professional liability insurance. Whoever pays the malpractice premiums ultimately receives this portion. For the purpose of this series, we are primarily focusing on work RVUs because they are the component most directly related to physician compensation. Now, let's discuss the next piece of the puzzle. As of 2026, the value assigned by CMS to one RVU is approximately $33.40. This number is called the conversion factor. The conversion factor is established and adjusted by CMS, with authority granted by Congress, and it is updated periodically. The conversion factor is what transforms RVUs into dollars. Let's go back to an example I mentioned earlier. In my specialty, a D&C hysteroscopy is reported using CPT code 58558. That procedure currently carries approximately 4.07 RVUs. If we multiply those 4.07 RVUs by the current conversion factor of $33.40, we get approximately $135.94. Simple enough, right? Not quite, because there's another factor that affects reimbursement. It's called the Geographic Practice Cost Index, or GPCI. The United States is a large and economically diverse country. The cost of living in New York City is very different from the cost of living in rural North Dakota. The cost of office rent is different. Staff salaries are different. Malpractice premiums are different. Virtually every expense associated with running a medical practice varies depending on location. CMS recognized this reality and created the Geographic Practice Cost Index to adjust payments based on regional economic differences. The concept is straightforward. The RVU value is multiplied by the conversion factor and then adjusted by the GPCI, or Geographical Index, assigned to that location. Each state has its own GPCI values. In some states, different metropolitan areas may even have different GPCI values. For example, Austin and Dallas have different geographic adjustments despite being in the same state. As of recent CMS data, some of the highest geographic adjustments are found in Alaska, where the geographical index can approach 1.5. Meanwhile, areas such as Austin, Texas, have values closer to 1.02. Let's return to our D&C hysteroscopy example. If I perform a D&C in Alaska, where the geographic adjustment is 1.5, the reimbursement would increase from $135.94 to approximately $203.91. That's simply $135.94 multiplied by 1.5. If I perform the exact same procedure in Austin, Texas, where the geographic adjustment is 1.02, the reimbursement would be approximately $138.66. That's a difference of more than $65 for the exact same procedure. Same CPT code, same RVUs, same physician work, different payment. And the difference is driven primarily by geography and cost of living adjustments. When you consider that procedures such as DNC hysteroscopy are performed frequently throughout a physician's career, those differences can become substantial. Now, let's make things just a little bit more complicated. Remember when I said that there are 3 different types of RVUs? Work RVUs, practice expense RVUs, and malpractice RVUs? Well, there are also separate GPCI adjustments, or geographical index adjustments, for each of these 3 categories. In other words, there isn't just one geographical index. There are 3: a work GPCI, a practice expense GPCI, and a malpractice GPCI. Each region receives its own adjustment values for each category. For the purposes of this series, we're focusing primarily on the work GPCI because it is the component most directly related to physician compensation. However, it's important to understand that all 3 geographic adjustments play a role in determining overall reimbursement. If you're curious about the GPCI values in your area, the American Medical Association maintains publicly available resources that list geographic adjustments throughout the United States. Now, let's take a step back. We've learned that RVUs are adjusted by geography. We've learned that different regions receive different reimbursement for the exact same service. But is geography the only reason physicians earn different amounts of money? Not even close. In the next episode, we'll discuss why 2 physicians practicing in the same city, performing the same procedures, and generating the same RVUs can still earn dramatically different incomes. This episode is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, tax, investment, contract, coding, billing, or medical business advice. Listeners should consult qualified professionals regarding their individual financial, legal, tax, employment, contract, coding, billing, and medical business decisions.